Hello, and thank you for joining me today for some thoughts from the Bible. This week, as I was reading through my Bible reading plan, I read the parable of the talents again, or of the bags of gold, depending on what particular translation of the Bible you happen to be reading. It's one of Jesus's pretty well-known parables, his well-known stories. 3 men, each given a stack of money and told to invest it on behalf of their master. The first, given 5 talents, manages to double his investment, and the master showers him with praise. In Matthew chapter 25 and verse 21, we read, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." The second man was only entrusted with 2 talents. And yet he also doubled what he was given and received exactly the same praise as the first man. But sadly, the third man, he doesn't do quite so well. Fearing his master's wrath, should he lose that 1 talent that he was given, he instead digs a little hole in the ground and buries the money there. Now, I think I've always looked at this story from the perspective of the 2 servants who did well. They took what was given to them and they used it. It's a good lesson. Whatever God has given us, our wealth, yes, but also our gifts, our talents, our skills, our time and energy, our experiences, our education, all of those things and more. We should be putting those things that we have been entrusted with to good use. And what a wonderful thing it would be to come home after our time here on this earth to be welcomed with a "well done, good and faithful servant." That's a really good lesson for us to learn. But this time, as I read through the same parable again, I was really challenged by the one servant who hid his bag of gold away. When he tried to explain his logic to his master behind that decision, this is what he said: "Master, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you." What an interesting account. See, it wasn't laziness that caused this servant to fail at what he was asked to do. It wasn't a lack of skill. The master goes on to say that he could have just put it in the bank and at least earned a little bit of interest on it that way. What stopped him was fear, pure and simple fear. See, fear cost him the chance to move up in the world, to be given more responsibilities, to earn his master's trust. Fear stopped him from turning the potential within him, the potential that his master had seen, to entrust him with a talent of gold, which was a considerable amount of money still. It stopped him from turning the potential within him to greatness. How often do we let fear stop us from doing something that we could excel in? It might be fear of failure, or of doing it wrong, or of being judged. It could be fear of what might be involved if we said yes. Okay, I'll give it a go. You know, it probably was much easier just to bury the gold in the ground rather than find some way of making that investment grow. Fear can rob us of our future if we let it. That servant had his 1 bag of gold taken away from him. Not only was he not put in charge of many things as the other 2 servants were, but even what he had was stripped away from him. And I'm not suggesting that God is watching you, and if you don't make the very best use of what he's given you, then he's going to take it away. But it is true, right? If you have a great artistic gift, it's not going to get better if you don't use it. It's going to get worse. If you're an amazing athlete, but you decide to spend all day, every day, sitting on the sofa and watching TV, then you are going to lose that skill. The things that we don't use, we tend to lose. Putting yourself into a position where there is the potential of failure it can be a terrifying prospect. Doing anything new, stepping out and using your gifts, it is scary. And I can look back on my life and I can think of far too many opportunities where I didn't take that chance to step out and use what God had given me because of fear. And it doesn't need to be in the big life-changing things, those massive areas, those big, strong giftings. It can be in the small things as well that fear can rob us of our chance to do what God is asking us to do. It can be as simple as using what you have to bless somebody with a meal and just shutting down that voice of fear that says, but it's not going to be good enough, is it? People might be looking at my house, they might be judging me, they might be thinking that I'm not a good cook. It can be as simple as encouraging somebody when they're down and silencing that voice of fear that says that you don't have anything to offer this person. Who are you to try and encourage them? Let somebody else do that. It can be speaking up or praying out loud when you're in a group and you're not sure that you have anything of value to offer, despite the fact that God is telling you you do. That little voice of fear can cost us. And even in those small, little, tiny areas of our lives, not stepping out in faith can impact our future. The more that we learn to trust God, the more that we learn to step forward, even when we don't necessarily know what the outcome will be, the greater the things are that He will be able to entrust us with. And the wonderful thing is, when we do take that chance, when we do say, I don't know if I'm going to fail here, I might, but I'm going to try anyway. The moment we do that, then we do enter into the realm of trusting God entirely for the outcome. And that is an exciting place to be, whether it's good or bad, whether my investment multiplies or not. I'm going to use what God has given me. I am not going to let fear steal my future. And I am not going to let fear cause me to bury the talents that I have. I'm going to use them for God's glory. I hope that that's an encouragement to you today. And, if you have a few minutes, why don't you just think if there is anything that fear is stopping you from doing, don't let it. Yes, it might be terrifying to step forward in faith, but it is also so exciting to see what God can do when you just come to Him with open arms and say, okay, I'm going to give it a go. Thank you so much for joining me again here today. I'll be back on Monday with some more thoughts from the Bible, so I will see you then.